So good morning, everybody, and welcome into this second CLIMABOROUGH webinar. Today we will talk about how to engage and involve communities, stakeholders into the development of practices that are related to energy and mobility. We will have quite a rich collection of speakers. So I will not lose any more time, and I will give the floor to Matteo Satta, which is our project coordinator, that he will introduce you into what CLIMABOROUGH project is, which are the topics of this initiative, and in which way energy and mobility are in a way part of the reflection we are doing at project level.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here first, which is, thanks for giving us your time for this to explain, to talk about our project and the initiatives that our project partners, our cities and some guests are having here. I'll have just a really short introduction of the project to let you understand what we are doing and why we are doing it. First, I'm here representing ANCI Toscana. ANCI Toscana, for the known Italian ones, is the Association of Cities of Tuscany, the region in Italy, to make it easy for the region of Florence that is here with us. The project CLIMABOROUGH is a project that is first part of the EU mission, Climate Neutral and Smart Cities, and it's funded at the level of around 11 million euros, and the budget is slightly higher because it's almost 12 millions. Now, just to let you understand, we have a number of partners. We are 28 in total with very different competencies. We are half our cities first, and the other half are really high-level R&D, IT, cities specialists. Without losing too much time, just to give you an overview of our cities and to let you understand also how they are divided. They are divided into groups. The first one are what we call the leaders. Doesn't mean that they're better, they're just the cities that will be testing first solutions. And then we have a second group that will follow later, then following the same process that the leaders are taking right now. Now, just to give you a small overview around the concept. The concept is that today we really don't lack technology. We have a lot of technology around, but we cannot always use it, and we cannot always at least valorize it. This has an impact on people, then on the behavioral change. Then what we would like to do is close the gap between the market that somehow is who provides solutions often and the people, the cities and the different various stakeholders that are in cities or in local governments, because some of our cities are not cities, but they are urban agglomeration as an example. And then we want the cities and the local authorities to start acting as a glue, helping to close this gap. Now, and to go into the concept more, about how it works and the objectives, and also to explain why we are here. Also to explain why we have these CLIMAWEBINARS that are somehow divided in two different hubs, because the project is divided in two hubs. One is more energy and mobility, the other one is waste and circularity. Why this? Because we consider that working on in different fields can have an impact also on what they have to do. Cities can be leader just in one of the two hubs, but they can follow in both. That means I can be leader on one side and follower on the other. I can be follower in both of them. These two hubs are led by two what we call city angels that connect then this to the whole project. one of the city angels is here. It's is moderating today. It's Urban Lab, and the second and on the energy and mobility then, and the second one on Western Circularity is energy cities that I've seen around here, that works more than on the other side. Now, what we want to do to make it easy is to help the cities have a cities mission-oriented program. It's not just about the mission. Some of the cities will have city contracts, but some others don't, but they have action plans, then supporting the definition and the deployment of these action plans, then helping to then, as I said, closing the gap with startups and companies, also defining business models. Then we want to create a community of cities, and this activity that we have today is also part of this. And then, sorry, okay, and defining, and then at the end, defining a climate neutrality monitoring tool. Then to explain a bit better this, to show you the cycle that cities take. Let's say that the leader city today started defining its needs. The needs are transformed in challenges, and the challenges go through an innovative procurement process to define and to select 2 solution providers each. Then they will have 2 solutions that will drive parallel on the same challenge, also to understand their interaction, to understand how those solutions can be also compared somehow, to understand what's good and what's not good, and then to co-create somehow these solutions together between the cities and the solution providers, and then to evaluate them, particularly from carbon footprint, but even further, also through a platform that will somehow support this process. But at the end of all this, cities will have some results, obviously, and a lot of experience, hopefully. And they will then, the cities with this experience will support other cities to do the same, mentoring them to replicate that process and the results that they achieve. And we should go on a loop, going over and over again around this. Now, my short introduction is done. I want just to let people know that we have, we obviously have a website, but we are quite active also on social media. We have a newsletter that goes out monthly. Then if you, if you want to follow our project, this is the best would be to also to follow us through those channels, also because you will have the invitation for the next CLIMAWEBINARS. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll stop sharing. Okay, that's it for me.
Thank you, Matteo. Thank you very much. I will quickly go through the dense program that we prepared for you this morning with just a couple of comments that will help you understand a bit how we imagine to organize this this second webinar. The webinar is focused on energy and mobility as the kind of practices that we are delivering through the CLIMABOROUGH project. And in fact, as you can see, the first 4 cities that we'll present, the first group of contributions, they come from CLIMABOROUGH, and they try to report about the efforts that our cities are doing in the field of mobility and energy, with a specific lens today. That is the lens of engaging communities, setting up communication strategies, imagining how the different components of local society can be brought into a process of change. So what we will talk about today is mainly how to bring change, how to make change in cities through the activation of new pilots, through the activation of new initiatives that are not only imagined to test new kind of processes, but also imagined to become an opportunity and the possibility to have the different components of local society working together. That's why we also imagine that it could be very interesting and valuable both for the CLIMABOROUGH partnership, but I would say mainly for this enlarged audience, to also incorporate in this conversation interesting practices that come from other contexts that will help us go through a conversation that will intercept some transversal topics that we will introduce as long as we continue with this webinar this morning. So the idea, and this is the very soul, I would say, of this collection of webinars, is that we try to build capacity together. So these webinars are imagined for cities and policymakers and practitioners to discuss together, to exchange and to learn from each other. So that's a bit the idea today too. Just one last recommendation, two recommendations actually. One is for lecturers, speakers, and the other one is for the audience. So in the first group of presentations, we imagine introductions and contributions that stay around 8 to 10 minutes, while in the second group of presentations, we will have a little bit more time, around 10 to 12 minutes. So the recommendation for the speakers is to stay in the timing, and then instead the recommendation for the audience is that if you have questions, comments, or any kind of thought that comes to your mind as you listen to our nice speakers today, feel free to write them in the chat. We will collect them and we will process them. Some of them will be also part of the final remarks that our nice colleague Graham will do for us at the end of the webinar. So, and we will take care of also putting people in contact if this is interesting for you. So feel free to write us, and our colleagues from Urban Lab and from the entire partnership will take care of that. I will just stop sharing the screen and leave the stage to Diego Falla from Differdange, which is our first lecturer. Thanks a lot.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm waiting for the PowerPoint.
Just a second, yes.
Thank you, Francesca.
I tried before and it works well. Now, of course, I can find the presentation. I don't know why. I have it open. Just sorry, I try again.
Francesca, I can do that for you if you want.
Yes, sorry, because I don't know why I can't see. I have it open.
Don't worry, don't worry.
I
can do
can't
that.
see. Okay.
Yeah, the same happened to me.
Yes. No, we tried before and it works.
Okay,
yeah.
Sorry for that.
Let me know, Diego, when you want me to skip the slides.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Diego. Some of you know me. I'm from Differdange, which is a city, the third city of Luxembourg in the south of Luxembourg. And I'm going to talk about engaging citizens in energy communities. I'm going to start by the end, actually, because we're going to start already with a concrete example. So what exists in Differdange and what is the biggest success regarding energy communities in Differdange. So since 2018, the city has promoted very actively and very kind of top-down also, which is very Luxembourg, to be honest. People really expect the municipalities to be very active in the transition, in the green transition, in the digital transition. So since 2018, the city has been promoting the possibility of people taking part in local energy communities, mainly with solar panels installed in municipal buildings. The citizens reacted really well to this, and nowadays around 100 households in Differdange are part of this kind of energy community that is promoted by the city. Now let's rewind a bit and go to the 19th century. So Chiara, next slide, please. So to explain a bit the logic of all of this, Differdange is a city that got its economy going with the Industrial Revolution, with the steelworks. It's a city formed around a factory. The factory is still there. It's still active, and it wasn't. We can say it was an existential part of the city until the 70s, when there was the whole steel crisis, and when the motto, "As long as there is smoke over the city, our stomachs will be filled," started to be questioned by different factors, by the diversification of Luxembourgish economy, by the studies on health, and of course regarding labor, because it's a very hard type of labor, and it's been almost 50 years that this motto, so if the economy of the city is going okay, we can have pollution, we can have everything goes. It's been 50 years already that people started questioning this, and nowadays what we see is an industry that still exists. So we still have steelworks in the city. Of course, they work with standards and with security standards from nowadays and not from 50 years ago. But still, people are worried because sometimes you still see over the cars this thin layer of materials that officially they don't harm your health, but then you have NGOs saying that actually they do harm your health, and that kids in Differdange have a higher rate of health problems than kids from other parts of the country. Differdange is very stigmatized also for different reasons, but it includes also the fact that it's still seen as an industrial city. And there's kind of a crisis. There's a crisis also regarding the industry. The industry has been shrinking, laying off a lot of people. It's still one of the biggest employers in the country. There's around 4,000 people that work with steelwork in Luxembourg, in the south of Luxembourg still. But they're not going anywhere. They shrinked a bit, but they're still there. So we reached this moment where it's been 50 years that there is a kind of a weird situation, and a lack of transparency and a lack of dialogue between the big industry in the city, the citizens, the civil society, and also the municipality in the middle of all of that. So we can go to the next slide. So here we try to summarize, Luke and I, what the citizens want and what the industries want, because what we started to realize is that maybe the city could play a role there building bridges, and that's connected both with the Net Zero Cities initiative and with our CLIMABOROUGH activities. So for the citizens, they know it's possible. Some of them even already invested money on the solutions, but they are looking for more opportunities to invest, because a lot of citizens, they don't have the possibility of having solar panels installed in their homes, or they want to really engage with something that it's a bit more substantial and that can really make a difference in the autonomy of energy in the city. We see that in Luxembourg. Although in the past year there was a lot of backlash regarding the green transition, in Luxembourg we see that people are still very, for example, there's most people are very critical of nuclear energy. We have a nuclear power plant in France right across the border. So people want to look for solutions and for renewable energy as a solution for the future. And of course, they want to support sustainable projects for their community. On the industry side, they want to recover its prestige, of course. They also want to have a social impact. They show some signs that they are willing to talk, and that's what we have now. So next slide, please, Chiara. So yeah, what we're thinking now, based on what we have already, especially with solar panels in municipal buildings and the 100 households, what we intend to do is to both expand these initiatives with solar panels and maybe even try some other initiatives with other renewable energy, specifically windmills and geothermal energy. So what we're doing is trying to provide a platform that connects citizens and industrial partners. So there's a lot of governance involved there, a lot of trying to understand how this could work. We are already organizing workshops to inform citizens of what exists already regarding this and what are the possibilities that they can take part, and then promote new autonomous communities. So try to promote communities that are not only relying on the city to survive. And that can be done with the help of our local agency for climate. That is a stakeholder that is very important to us. They have people working with us in Differdange, with our ecological service in the same office, which is really nice. And then we want to create this win-win-win situation where the city can reduce a bit its role, like build bridges, but reduce the administrative role in providing all the paperwork for the energy communities and leaving this in the hands of organized citizens, improve the life conditions, of course, and reach climate neutrality. For the industry, of course, provide positive social value. This has been something that we see that it's on the top priority. ArcelorMittal, that's the biggest steel productive company here in Luxembourg. They have their European headquarters in Luxembourg, and they are pushing a lot on this new branding of their image, and I think they should, with that, also actually have positive impact and give back to the local community and regain its prestige with the community that has helped them function for the past, more than 1 century. And for the citizens, of course, invest in sustainable projects. Energy autonomy, as I said, is important for people here in Luxembourg, and the economic gains that you have with return on investment. For the first projects, there was a return on investment. You could get your investment back, I think, in around 10 years. I think that was what was promised. And that's also, it's something that people want. So as an example, on next Saturday, we have in the morning, we have a workshop on energy, on what the city is doing for energy. It should be something very participatory. So we already had one workshop organized in the context of net zero cities some months ago, and there were like 100 people, which was really nice. And now we're hoping that we're going to be as successful next Saturday. And we are promoting also in this webinar, in this workshop. It's a workshop, so it's in Differdange. It's not a webinar. I think I was using webinar instead of workshop. It's a workshop. So in this workshop, we're going to have representatives of the industries, representatives of the energy providers, representatives of the energy agency, or the climate transition agency of the government, representatives of the ministries, local politicians, and hopefully at least, I hope there's going to be around 100 people there. So that's what we're aiming at on Saturday. And this will be followed by informative sessions especially with the Agency for Climate Transition, because they have they can explain the legal framework. How do you organize in an energy community, the different energy communities that exist in Luxembourg. We also have the legal framework here in Luxembourg. I don't know if it's the case everywhere, but I checked, and it's quite interesting. It's very clear. The information is there. So I think that's about it. And thank you for your attention.
Well, thanks a lot, Diego. I will start taking one note that is one keyword that you were mentioning in your speech that will be very useful later on, that is building bridges. So, and the role that the public actor can have in building bridges. So this will keep it for later, actually. So thanks a lot. I would leave the floor to Ilya Cristantoni from DAEM in Athens. I think, Ilya, you're sharing your screen autonomously, correct? You don't need me as an helper.
I can share my screen if you want. Hello from my side as well.
Thanks a lot. Floor is yours.
Let's see if it works. Tell me if you can see the presentation, and now in full mode.
Yeah,
it works. Okay, perfect. So hello from my side. My name is Ilya Christodoni, as also Chiara mentioned before. We are in this webinar together with my colleague Dimitra Tsakanika, and we are leading the EU project sector of DAEM, that is the IT company of the city of Athens. Today, I'm going to talk innovations that we have regarding the citizen engagement for climate purposes and for environmental issues in in Athens. And mainly we are going to concentrate a little bit on our EU projects. Actually, we have seen that the previous years, the trend in Horizon projects and in research, it was mainly on co-creation, so involving the citizens in the co-creation of solutions. But now, these final years, we have the first projects that have to do with citizen science, and this is going to be the main topic of our let's say presentation. So we are going to mention here a few of our projects, but first let me share, like Diego did before, a little bit of what is happening in Athens. So you all have to know that in Athens we have, of course, very difficult environmental conditions. Of course, Greece generally and the city here suffers from very frequent and intense heat waves. So the city for many years now has already identified all these challenges, the environmental. It has focused on making it more green, and that there is a need actually of a cultural change in order to promote these environmental policies. All this has been depicted in the resilience strategy that initially was structured in 2014, and now it has also been updated with a climate adaptation and mitigation plan. What it has been done the recent years is that Athens was one of the first European cities to appoint a chief heat officer. It was very important because heat waves here are very severe, and with all the needs that will make the city more open and proactive and green have been identified, and we are also participating in 100 neutral cities. So through that, all these plans, they are already the targets that we have for 2030 and to 2050. So there is a target to reduce stationary energy and mobility, so the pollution from stationary energy and mobility. We have a target of 70% of population to be able to reach in a green space, which is very difficult in such a big city, and to reach to the target of 30% of the Athens area covered by green spaces. So starting from all this landscape, our participation in different projects has these goals, and the plan is to involve citizens in this challenge. So the plan is to start this cultural change involving the citizens as well in the city's journey, but this is something very innovative and is happening only the recent 1 or 2 years. So we want to, through the participation in CLIMABOROUGH, to raise awareness of citizens and to promote their behavioral change. Our first goal for that is to start from the school ecosystem, so from the and everything that is all around school. So the students, the teachers, the administration of schools, the parents, and the overall neighborhood. And then from that, we can start creating a dialogue together with the public administration. We think that this is a best practice because any cultural or behavioral change that starts from students and kids and children is the one that it is best let's say, diffused in the rest of the society, even for adults that they are hesitant or resisting. So this is how we plan to achieve, let's say, more long-term mobilization of the rest of the community. We are now also at the process of structuring the two solutions for the Athens city through CLIMABOROUGH. And one major goal is to create the first energy community. So what is already in practice, for example, in Differdange, Luxembourg, in Athens at the moment, does not exist. The main point, the main aspects that they will make this successful is to go at neighborhood level. In such a vast city as Athens, that it's very, very big, the change has to come from local solutions and from small neighborhoods, and then to be further expanded in the rest of the city. That's why we expect to have educational features inside the proposed solutions, or a gamification aspect in order to better involve the citizens. And then to mobilize them to contribute to environmental policies that they will be then the base of a dialogue with the city. The other part that has to do as well with the citizen engagement, it has to do with the buildings that they use. We have seen that the majority of the pollution comes from stationary energy, so from the energy that comes from the buildings. So the plan is to have municipal buildings, so schools, to use them to add their interventions. So smart grids, any kind of new solutions that we can have in the schools. But this, what we plan to do is to expose this data through applications to the students that use these buildings, in order to make them more aware of the energy that they spend while they are on schools, and in this ecosystem to also involve their teachers, the neighborhood, etc., their parents, etc. We think that with this we can have real-time information, so the users of a building can see in real time what is the result of their action. So leaving, for example, the lights on and leaving the heating on when it is not necessary, etc. The plan is to see if these solutions are scalable to more buildings, because big municipalities in Greece have under their administration a lot of buildings apart from schools. In parallel, we are working on another project that we call Compare, and it is well on citizen science. There, what we do is that we actually we have been to two different areas of Athens, so two neighborhoods. For those that they are Greek, it is in Kypseli and Neos Cosmos. And what we did is that we engaged citizens and we provide to them with sensors to install in their houses. Those sensors measure PM2.5, PM10 temperature and humidity, and then we gather this data. We have also installed in municipal buildings NO2 sensors that they are integrated with small solar panels. You can see it in the picture on the right. And we have added them as well in these two areas. So far, we have more than 50 volunteers. And how we did that is that we went to some centers of the municipality that they are mentioned as friendship clubs. This was the methodology. The friendship clubs are centers of the municipality where senior citizens can go to spend their time and do some activities. And because our goal was to have low socioeconomic groups, we started from there. So we did workshops, face-to-face meetings, and a lot of follow-ups in order to manage to have more than 50 sensors active within the city. The forthcoming activities have to do with Athenians measuring their CO2 footprint in their houses. So our partner has created a tool where you can calculate your footprint in your house. We also invite anyone who lives within the municipality of Athens in this webinar if they want to contact us afterwards, so that we can guide them through. You can calculate your footprint the user can calculate the footprint to see insights on how much his household is consuming in relation to national averages in Greece and European averages. And there's also recommendations specifically and tailor-made for according to the answers in order on how to reduce the footprint of the house. And then there is a very interesting tool where the user can see how much is the how many policies the city has to take until 2050 in order to become a zero city. And we see their intention on each citizen, how much is willing to adopt out of these policies. So there are some slide bars where you can we can see the intention of the citizen in order to participate in that. At the moment, we are structuring campaigns, social campaigns, and other webinars in order to attract the answers. Here are just a small screenshot. On the right, you can see, for example, the calculator results nationally and let's say at European level. And this is a slide bar where you can have different scenarios that the municipality wants to, let's say, would like to implement. And you have some sliding bars on how much you would be willing to adopt or not. But according to the intention to adopt, you can see how much it contributes to the reduction of the footprint. And finally, we have the Urban Relief Project, another citizen science project, where it has 3 directions. It will actually create the tree registry of the city of Athens that at the moment it is not in place. So we will engage citizens to map the trees in their neighborhood. You can see a little bit the application that it is developed at the moment. So the citizens can go around their neighborhood, find the location of the tree, add the location in the application, the exact location of GIS, the type of the tree, and this will be open information both for the citizens, but also it will be an internal dashboard for the city administration in order to have to be able to manage the green infrastructure. This will be combined with locations where we will install as well air quality sensors, but this time we will go to municipal buildings and not to citizens in order to check this way of having sensors within the city. And then we will also have wearable campaigns with wearables where citizens can measure their exposure in heat and their, let's say, thermal perception, especially during the summer. So these wearables will be on predefined routes. We will find citizens through campaigns that they go around in Athens, in walking, let's say, routes in the center. For example, the professionals that they work in tourism, so they go around to show the archaeological sites. And we will do through these campaigns, we will measure the thermal discomfort, let's say, in Greece. More or less, this were our main projects that have to do with ongoing activities regarding citizen engagement.
Thank you very much. It was really interesting because you were managing to show us many different things, many different tools. And actually, I would say that from your side, thank you for bringing in on the table the issue of behavioral change, which is actually one of the topics we've been discussing very much inside the partnership. So the cultural dimension of the action we perform over the city, but also at the same time the kind of tools we can bring in to really produce this behavioral change, which means also a high capacity of translating complex concepts into rather simple or understandable actions that we can ask citizens to go through jointly with us. So thank you.
And we are at the moment experimenting with different, let's say, methodologies or ways to do that.
Yeah,
it's rather new for us.
Thanks a lot. So I would move from another part of the European map. We fly to the Czech Republic and we'll leave the floor to Martina, that will talk us about how in Pilsen they work with living labs. Thanks a lot, Martina. The floor is yours.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Can you see my presentation? Am I sharing my screen now? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So once again, good morning, everyone. Welcome to my presentation. And let me say a few words about my own background. My name is Martina Surikova, and I'm representing the IT company of the city of Pilsen, which is a city-owned organization, and the city of Pilsen is participating in the CLIMABOROUGH project via SITMP. That's the short form for our full name in Czech. As you can see on the screen, our topic today is the pine ecosystem and the living laboratory in Pilsen. I would like to tell you some words about the people behind the innovators and the strong innovation community, which is focused on mobility. Mobility is going to be the common denominator for our presentation. And I would like to show you how we engage individuals, groups, and organizations and different stakeholders under the common theme of mobility. I'll share the strategies and project plans and the vision how the city is increasing its innovation potential, how we support the creation of innovative solutions and their deployment, design, and so on, how we support innovative thinking, and also how we are implementing them into the urban environment. So first, let me show you the way how we work with people, and then I'll tell you what are the tools that we are providing them with. First of all, let me say a few words about the city of Pilsen, which is located in the Czech Republic. It's a mid-sized industrial city with population approximately 180,000 inhabitants. We are having a strong industrial tradition focused on engineering. Perhaps you know the Skoda company or the Pilsen brewery. That's how we are often what we are often identified with. And we are very close located to Bavaria, to Germany, and also to our capital city, Prague, which can be seen as an advantage and disadvantage at the same time, because the city was and currently is missing people that are moving to Germany or that are moving to Prague and also leaving the city. So that's why our city council, which is very supportive of supporting our innovative project by means of different strategies like strategic smart or strategic plan of the city or smart city strategy, wanted to stop this, and there's the intention to develop our strategic profile as the natural center of mobility and innovation. We are an acknowledged smart city, I would say one of the front runners in the Czech Republic, and I would like to tell you a few words about the ecosystem we have here. Let me move to our next part, and I'm going to talk about PINE. I'm not going to talk about trees, but PINE stands for Pilsen Innovative Ecosystem, and that's what I would be very happy if you remembered this abbreviation, PINE. And why PINE? Because we want to bring up, we want to educate, and we want to attract as many innovators, talents, startup entrepreneurs, and investors as well as possible. Why? Because it's in the interest of the city and its future prosperity. The equation here is very simple. The more talent and ideas we have, the more successful companies we set up, and the better life in Pilsen is going to be. Also, we want to shift the global value chain from low value to high value. That's why we have PINE, and we are nurturing innovation in every step of the way with its 4 pillars. We start with talent development, then we move to incubation, and for those who are successful companies, we have acceleration phase. In individual stages, reality, individuals explore, learn, implement, and scale up. And I'll start from the cradle, literally with our children. We believe that talent development is indispensable. So we want to build a positive relationship towards technical and science education, STEM education, STEM education with our children. And we do it by means of after-school leisure clubs, and also day camps are oriented towards science and technical education. We focus on children and their parents as well, but also the other target group for us is the kindergarten and primary school teachers. We are teaching them how to work with modern technologies, and we also provide them with modern technologies, with AI, with interactive smart boards, and so on. And our flagship for this initiative is the Center for Robotics, which was established like 10 years ago. And it's bringing up the children, and it's educating them. We'll move to the next part, which is called support. Because as the kids are growing up, their needs are changing, and they have also different behavior. Center for Robotics was desired for kids aged 6 to 15. Whereas in support, we have experimenting teenagers. Their behavior is different. As you have teenagers at home, you know that their behavior really is different. So we are working then with them in a different manner. We are organizing many events, like, for example, Hydrogen Cup competition. We are organizing hackathons, and also we Innovate Pilsen Festival. Also, what we are very proud of are the challenges, which we collect the real challenges from the city environment, from the municipality, and so on. And we present the topic of the challenge to our community, to our teenagers, and they come up with their own solutions. We for them, we make the feasibility study, and if the solutions can be implemented, they are implemented. Often the city Pilsen is the first client for the group or for the project group. And often the project group becomes a startup. So support does not only specialize in providing technical education and developing technical skills, but also we believe that business education is also very important. So our support people are teaching and cooperating with secondary schools, and they're focusing on soft skills and on business skills as well. We are going up, and now we are in Big Port. Why Big Port? Because the kids from and the teenagers are growing up as well. We have graduate students, and their needs are again very different. They're often setting up their own startups, and that's why we are having the incubation program for them. The companies that are selected for the incubation program receive feedback from experts, and also they are taught and they are instructed how to formulate their own business plan. Big Port and incubation program is also about networking, about promotion, publicity, and also about making use of contacts. Also, you need infrastructure for this, so that's why we have Tech Tower, one of the most modern technology ports in the Czech Republic. It offers offices, co-working premises, and spaces, and also for those technology-oriented companies, a unique test water tank designed for training underwater robots and drones, and also with many prototype workshops. We need to speed up a bit, we need to accelerate, so that's why we have our last phase. That's the Business and Innovation Center in Pilsen, which offers consultancy on how to get financing and funding of innovations, how to help companies innovate and expand. The city of Pilsen is also running a Pilsen Business Watchers program, which is designed to support experience and also the cooperation with businesses and R&D institutions in order to help and support innovations in the region. And it's also about how to enter new markets and how to expand abroad. Yes, that's about the startups that were created with the help of our ecosystem. There's a link so you can get to them and consult them. And let's move on to our next part. So I was talking about people and communities behind and the way we work with them. But it's also important to have some infrastructure and tools and, let's say, toys to work and play with. The problem is that there were many stakeholders and actors scattered around the agglomeration around the Pilsen region. So that's why the Mobility Innovation Hub was created to help the city develop the activities and also the pioneer in the field of intelligent mobility. We are focusing on many interests, so let me say dynamic traffic management and also autonomous mobility testing, for which we have the test polygon. We want to develop autonomous tramway. We also have 2 digital twins of the city that are monitoring air and noise pollution, and also for traffic modeling and planning, we have a special digital twin. And also we are very strongly focusing on urban air mobility, which brings me to Differdange. Differdange is a cooperation unit or development unit of a SITMP company, and they're closely cooperating with the first responders and the traffic police departments. And that's one of the unique assets and advantages I would like to highlight, that they are the ones in the Czech Republic doing that. They, for example, developed a crash inspector that helps the traffic police to assess and evaluate serious traffic accidents. We also provide people with the Open IoT network and Open Data Portal with over 180 datasets that are available to students, startups, and companies that want to work with that. So I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover today, and I would like to thank you very much for listening to my presentations, and also I'm ready to answer all your questions here in chat.
Thank you very much, Martina. That was extremely interesting, and you gave us the possibility to bring on our table another, I would say, another perspective on today's conversation that is related to ecosystems, to the fact that the ecosystems can be built, or if we want ecosystems, we need to make an effort in building an ecosystem, which means that there are different groups of people that need to be targeted and that require a different kind of action to engage them. We do not talk the same language with kids and I don't know, young researchers or enterprises. So this is a very important issue that I think we will also be exploring further on and later on with the next speakers, but also the other important ingredient that I could see. Well, there were many, but I needed to pick some of those. There's another important ingredient that is more related to infrastructures and tools, but that is also intercepting very much the cross-sectoral cooperation. So we can have as many tools as we want, but we need to have the different departments, the different skills, the different approaches that we have inside the public administration working together in order to achieve what we need to achieve. So this is another point that will probably be further explored also by our guests. So I would complete this first round of presentations with the metropolitan city of Grenoble. So we go metropolitan, and I would leave the floor to Juliana González Villamizar, which will then bring us this perspective of working on a larger scale and then also working much closer with the citizens. Juliana, the floor is yours. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So we go metropolitan. I work with the metropolitan area, but also with the Mobility Planning Authority. Today I wanted to present how we build communities, mobility communities, within a urban development project that's called Grenobles-Alpes. So I will start by talking about how does it work, like mobility planning in our region. Mobility planning in France has specifically existed for 30 years with the PDU, that it was only the short way in French to say SUMP. Now we call them PDM for Plan Mobilité, and it is compulsory for urban areas for over 100,000 inhabitants since '96. It must be compatible also with other planning documents, the regional ones, for example, and the national laws. And it also includes not only mobility issues, but also energy and air and climate issues, and the link between mobility and urban planning, which is a difficult one, I should say. So now the SMAG, which is the Mobility Authority, is currently drawing up its PDM for the period for 2030 to 2035. And as part of the process, we have created micro PDMs, which are mobility plans specific to sectors where mobility is a key issue, but we need to be close to the stakeholders of the perimeter, such as the Grenobles-Alpes micro-PDM. Grenobles-Alpes is an ambitious project that concerns a part of the south of Grenoble, the city of Échirolles and the city of Ebin. It's 400 hectares in the heart of the metropolitan area. It's like the center of the metropolitan area. And it has a twofold ambition. The economic development through the transformation of land and the optimization of built-up areas, and the development of a green and resilient city with public spaces that encourage walking, social interaction, and especially alternatives to the car, because it's a very, I would say, 90s landscape with a lot of space for cars and not so for the pedestrians or bicycles, etc. It's I would say it's a territory that is well connected by the public transport system. We have a tramway line, 12 bus lines, and a railway stop. And we have also major sport facilities, the ice rink, water sports stadiums, athletic stadiums. So there are a lot of stakes, I would say, in a urban development project like this. And for that, we create the micro PDM, micro mobility plan, which is a tool that we developed to support the upcoming transformation of Grenobles-Alpes with its stakeholders in terms of mobility. We wanted to have a strategy that sets a long-term course, but also an action plan that it's very, I don't know, it's only for the over next 5 years, with everything that has and needs to be done in the 5 years to support these transformations. We have been coordinating and summarizing a lot of stories that had been carried out in the past in Grenobles-Alpes. And we wanted to have a very important step of a consultation and participation of the members of the Grenobles-Alpes Partnership Committee, which is a committee that reunites companies, inhabitants, associations, educational institutes. So there are a lot of stakeholders from the project. And to make it easy, we create also the mobility communities within the micro-PDM. And so the idea is to build trust and partnership about mobility issues. Donc why? Because they see the inhabitants and the users and the people who really work there. They see them every day, so they have a very understanding of their needs in terms of mobility. Some of the action can be resolved by the public authority alone, not the metropolitan area or the mobility planning authority. So we need them. And we are also aware of the different temporalities of the actions. There are some actions that take more time, like changing imaginaries about mobility, overcoming cultural or social barriers. So we need to take our time for doing this kind of actions. So we're putting in place these mobility communities of Grenobles-Alpes. Mobility communities are basically partnership events, workshops, different formats, where we bring stakeholders together to discuss issues of common interest, such as urban logistics, company mobility plans, pedestrian network. You can see one of the pictures of a recently community that we made about the pedestrian network with the inhabitants from a really local neighborhood. And now I would like to show you an example. It's the PDM-EC, which is a multi-company mobility plan for Grenobles-Alpes. We have a specific tool that's called MPro that's designed to help companies to set up their mobility plans for their employees. But given the stakes of the urban project and the size of the companies, we have a lot of big companies in Grenobles-Alpes. We are trying to propose a multi-site employers mobility plan. And we had a first event in 2023 where we discussed their mobility needs and issues. And we work in an action plan for these issues. And then we held the second event in March last month, where we discussed, we presented them the micro PDM and the premises of the PDM EC to test their motivation, the pertinence of this kind of planning and partnership process. We wanted to know if they had the available resources to do it, etc. So now we have to continue. We take our time to do it with them. But the idea of the PDMSC is to identify common problems and needs, sharing feedback, had the production of common documents, sharing expenses, which is really interesting because depending on the size of the company, they can have more budget to cover, for example, I don't know, cycling, repairing workshops or whatever. And since from a legal point of view, companies in France with more than 50 employees on a single site are already obliged to introduce measures to improve the home work mobility of their employees, we think that they're already in this kind of process, and they can be really useful to us because we cannot resolve all the issues alone. I would say thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, you can ask them afterwards.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Juliana. Also from your side, you were bringing on our table for the discussion some new keywords and new concepts that are very important, both for the conversation that's taking place inside CLIMABOROUGH and for the conversation we would like to bring on with this webinar. Actually, one of the things that came to my mind were on the one side, when you were mentioning building trust. Building trust is a job that is necessary if we want to promote and produce that kind of behavioral change Ilya was telling about, but also building trust and building partnerships will help us establishing a different level of shared knowledge and culture related to the issues we want to treat through this kind of policies. And you were also talking about time. You were telling at least twice, we are taking our time. So to build the trust, we need time. So we need to incorporate in the programming of actions, of plans, of strategies, the time that is necessary to set up a conversation, and then to nurture that conversation, to let that conversation bloom somehow, because otherwise it's so difficult to really imagine that we can bring the stakeholders on board, that we can bring the citizens on board. So it has to be gradual, and we know, because but I don't want to spoil anything from the next presentation, but we know from some of the guest projects that we will have in minutes that this issue of accompanying the public action with nice and well done communication and engagement and information is really key. So as we approach this second part of our webinar, we just wanted to highlight some of the topics that are very important and very crucial for us as a partnership, and especially in this hub dedicated to energy and mobility. And actually also we would like to introduce you some of the topics that we were suggesting or proposing to the forthcoming speakers in order to frame the study cases that they are bringing to us. There are so many interesting aspects of the initiatives that will be presented in minutes, but we knew we didn't really have time to go through all the issues. So what we were a bit imagining as a stimulation for our speakers are these three main domains that are actually key for CLIMABOROUGH, and these are the lenses that we suggest we could use, the kind of classes we suggest we could use to listen to the forthcoming presentations and go through the study cases that will be presented. So the first big frame is, of course, the frame of communication. Communication is key, but communication it should be done properly and and has to be tailored on the kind of actions we are designing, on the kind of interlocutor we would like to engage in the process. So there are different levels. It's internal, mainly in the beginning through the different departments to reach out for that kind of alignment we were a bit mentioning minutes ago, but it's also, of course, external and needs to intercept different kinds of stakeholders, different kinds of citizens, different kinds of groups with different kind of messages and possibly with a gradual kind of approach. There's an important thing that is related to pilot solutions. Actually, CLIMABOROUGH is a project made of pilot solutions. We know that we tend to call our pilots drops facing a sea of action that should be done and that should be implemented in cities in order to achieve climate neutrality. So that we know that we are now working on drops. And apparently drop is not that important thing compared to the entire ocean, but the ocean is made of drops. So we are very much interested in understanding how the implementation of a pilot solution can switch on some strategic perspectives, some strategic trajectories. But then at the same time, we know that piloting incorporates any kind of relationship with different local stakeholders, how to spot them, how to understand where we're going to start from. Who are going to be the first ones that we want to engage, and why is it so important to engage that specific category instead of others in order to be more effective, in order to be able to imagine how that specific pilot can be implemented at a larger scale. Actually, this is one of the perspective and one of the angles that we would like to take into this presentation of this interesting practices that we are bringing in here on the table today. And then the final point, which is not final, simply the third one that we highlighted, is the issue of data in different ways. Also, our CLIMABOROUGH cities were introducing the issue of data and the fact that we need to measure things, that we can engage the local stakeholders in measuring things. So as an example, the citizen science is one of these approaches, but not only. We also have much more institutionalized approaches that put data at the center of the conversation. So data is a way of producing information, of collecting information, but data is also a way we can use to measure the effectiveness of our actions. And actually, we have big discussions concerning KPIs and the things that we want to measure. So we are very happy that this topic can be explored with our guests, because sometimes we get a bit overwhelmed by data, while instead the kind of action we imagine we could perform is really to spot the right KPI, really to understand which things might be worth measuring in order to be more effective and more proactive on in our action over cities. So I'm very happy and glad to introduce you to our next guests. I would leave the floor to the city of Florence, and So I will welcome them and I'm very happy to listen to you. So thank you very much, Alessandra and Elena, for accepting our invitation. The floor is yours.
Many thanks, and let me share our presentation in advance. I hope you can see it properly. We are Alessandra and Elena, both from the City Manager Department, in charge of the activities linked to European program and project and to the missions of EU cities. That means the neutral carbon cities, net zero 2030. So the presentation that we are just giving right now, that is referring to mobility and engagement citizen in the strategies that are located at the city level, are aims to achieve our final target in advance from the goals, that is neutral climate city. And let's move it to it if it's feasible, if we can do it.
If you need some help from our side, we can do it for you if you want. Alessandra,
I think that is blocked. I don't know why. So
if you want, I can do that for you.
Yeah, that's fine. No worry. I cannot understand why, because it was working in advance. But let me say that it's we are happy somehow to have the presentation shared by you, because we have in this format that is not very readable actually, because otherwise we are not able to move it from one slide to another one. Don't know why, to honestly. So if you are able to present, would be fine for us, honestly. Would be easier also in making the presentation more suitable.
Okay, I can do it for you. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, many thanks. In the meanwhile, we can start the presentation because it's there's some information, let me say, at the basis that is not needed to have a slide on it, that are the premises of our works, of our jobs, that is linked to the characteristic of the cities in which the plan is developed. And according to the history of Florence, we have to underline the boundaries that are coming from to be cultural heritage cities. As you know, Florence is a UNESCO site since 1982, and the characteristic that to have this open, let me say, open museum, the historic center has been defined as a unique artistic realization that, of course, is influencing the activities that are developed, especially in the city centers, in which we have also assessed a UNESCO management plan of the cities to preserve its unique heritage, but at the same time to work according to the needs to be net zero cities. So moving to the setting the scene, that is some numbers that are useful to just give you a look to what is the situation. And the idea is that the numbers that are characterizing the situation in Florence, that is the population that is about 400,000 inhabitants, but this is the main characteristic of the cities. The users of the cities are quite doubling per days. It's data coming from our mobile analytics. That means that the cities is used daily by around 600,000 people. That are people that are coming from several users that are commuters, so mainly from students and workers, but of course also the the tourists that are around 15 million overnight per year. And that means that we have to take into account the people that really are staying in the cities, not only the people that are living in the cities. And bear in mind this situation. Please move to the next slide. We have been organizing our activity taking into account the need of the cities and what is ongoing. And our commitment in the sustainability path, it's quite a long story. It starts with our adhesion to the Covenant of Mayors in 2010 that give us the opportunity to start with our Sustainable Energy and Action Plans, the 2011, that set our first targets in terms of reduction of the emissions that according to the first, let me say, target that was 2020 at the times, fixed at 24% of reduction at 2020, according to our baseline inventory of the year 25. That's give us the opportunity to see, to have a picture of the starting point in which we had to work, in which mobility was the main sector affecting the emission in the territories for about 34%. And that's why we invest a lot in intervention in the mobility sectors. And of course, we were focusing on sustainable mobility, mainly sustainable urban transport as for the tramway system, so electrification of the cities and soft mobility. According to this starting point, we've been developing and updating the strategy of the cities through the Smart City Plan, and then the Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan, and the Sustainable Urban Logistic Plan. And then we have been scale up, let me say, the Sustainable Energy Action Plan towards the Sustainable Energy and Climate Plan that has been updated and related to the last package program Fit for 55. And then we have been approved our ambition to less 60% of emission at 2030. With and it was already, let me say, quite ambitious, taking into account the difficulties close the boundaries and the landscape limiting for the heritage cities. That's mean that were also bringing us to the next step, that is the Climate City contract, approved last year and already labeled, let me say, this year on the event that took place in Brussels last March, in which we have been updated our target, and the idea is to have a neutral climality 2030 with less 81% of emissions, plus 19 in adaptation intervention in order to achieve the net zero. In all our action, as you can see, mobility is one of the main impactful action related to 7–8%. And that means that is needed to have an idea of mobility within the framework of neutrality that is an holistic approach. So if we move to the next slide, we give you an overview how we can trigger this virtuous cycle. As you can see, it is based mainly on three main paths. That is the increasing of the public transport using, that brings us in reducing congestions and going through the optimization, generally speaking, of the private fleet. These are three actions that make sense if you consider that all our main framework and main strategy has been approved thanks to participatory processes in which the citizen, or better to say, the city users, were involved since the beginning. because it is needed to share the vision, to have on board all the city if we want to achieve the final target and result. How we can trigger this virtuous cycle, of course, together with all the stakeholders and the inhabitants, but also thanks to some, let me say, special or topics, projects and intervention. And we have been thinking to give some presentation of them, the main relevant, and I give the floor to Elena that will be able to share you some of this. So we can go to the next slide.
So thank you, Alessandra. One of our main project is the Smart City Control Room that is based on real-time and coordinated transport management. First of all, let me say that collaboration is the key for the Smart City Control Room. It's a physical space, a real space, where people from different departments, different services work side by side. It's based on a business to governance collaboration, and we have a big data lake platform where all the information coming from different sources are collected and ingested. And we have also a space dedicated to the social media to communicate to our city users about the for example, the traffic, the condition, road condition, and so on and so forth. Next slide, please. But it's not only about managing data. What is important is to manage the people. So we can use this imagine of an orchestra where the municipality is the conductor that it's able to tune the sound, but without every instrument, without the other relevant participant, it wouldn't be able to get the right symphony. So we have to keep in mind that it's a federated model where every contribution from everybody is relevant. Next, please. Another action that is really important to us is the Green Shield System policy. It aims to close the entrance for the most pollutant vehicle to the city, and now it's about a wide area. It's a a big area of a low emission zone that embrace almost all the city. It's 38 square kilometer of the city, and it's we have also like 80 gates that controls the entrance and the exit of each vehicles, and it's also a way to monitoring the access to the city. And there will be some phases in for the first phase. It's like the vehicle that are not just able to cross the city that will be stopped, and then it will, there will be some upgraded about this restriction. Next, please. But as Alessandra said already, communication it's a key element for us. So we have developed this app, this info mobility app that is the main instrument of our mobility as a service system. And it's not only a router, but it could really help citizens and city users, as we said, tourists, commuters, students, temporary students that we have in the city, to choose the best way to move around the city and within the city in a sustainable way. It offers you the possibility to really track your path through the way with bicycle, by foot, or by train, and whatever is sustainable for us. So next. Another key element for the city of Florence is the participation of European project. This is really relevant because it offers us the possibility to pilot, to test some experience. For example, Unchained is at the moment one of the key projects for us, and where we can really work on the sustainable urban logistics. Unchained will help us to enable the collaboration between the public authority, the municipality, for example, and the stakeholders concerned with the logistic, and also will help to break the data barriers that are actually in place. And so we can go on. But at last but not least, it's very important, and it's really the key to have people on board, people in our path, people that share our visions and our goal. Otherwise, all these interventions are not successful. So for this reason, we launched a participatory process called Firenze per il Clima, Florence towards the climate. And we launched also the first pilot climate assembly, that is an assembly which is representative, intergenerational, and fair, and where we really collect all the needs. So we listen to the people, to the citizens, to the city users, and we listen to their needs, to their also how they will want to build up this city, this green city, and with all these relevant feedback, or with this relevant feedback, will help us to plan the strategy towards a really climate neutral city. And that's all for our part. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much to Alessandra and Elena for this interesting collection of projects and initiatives from Florence, and this nice image of the big citizens assembly discussing about climate. As I introduce you to the next speaker, that is Alan Murphy from Smart Dublin, I will just catch the opportunity because I see the chat that is moving a little bit. So if you have questions for our speakers, take the chance to write the question in the chat. We will collect it and possibly they will answer live or keep the question and answer you later on. So thanks, Alan, for being here with us. The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Chiara, and the CLIMABOROUGH organizers for inviting me. I'll just share my screen, Chiara. Is that what I should do? Yeah, okay. Sorry, for some reason. Oh, it's gone. Started at the end. Okay, do you now see the first slide, Chiara?
Not yet. Maybe you can start. You can try interrupting the sharing and then sharing again.
Okay. It's stuck. Okay. Just give me one moment. Yeah.
Yes, or we can do it for you if you want.
Yeah. Can you do it on your side, please?
Yeah,
yeah.
let me just find it. There you
This
go.
is strange.
Yeah, but today apparently we have issues with technology, so which we will survive anyway. So 1 second. Okay, I can do that for you. Don't worry. There you go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Just let me know when I can skip the slides.
Okay. Thanks, Chiara.
Don't worry.
Yeah, gosh. there's always something, yeah. On these webinars. But thank you for the invite, and really interesting to hear all the presentations from the cities involved in CLIMABOROUGH. So my name's Alan Murphy. I'm the regional manager with Smart Dublin. So Smart Dublin, it's an initiative of the 4 Dublin local authorities. So we're a local government organisation. What you see here is a map of Ireland on the right-hand side. So maybe some people have been to Dublin. It's over there on the east coast, capital city. The piece in the middle is a breakdown or a zoom in of the Dublin region. So we have 4 local authorities or 4 councils that administer the Dublin region. Population maybe 1.5 million, I would say, in total. And on the left-hand side is a list of our smart districts. So we have 6 in total around the Dublin region that we use as test beds to trial smart city initiatives. So the idea is we start hyper-local at the smart district. We do a pilot or a project. Those districts reside within one of the councils. And then there's 31 councils across the Republic of Ireland. So we try and share our story and scale up these projects as much as possible. So that's what this slide is trying to tell you. To zoom in then on climate action. So just recently in March, the 4 Dublin local authorities published their respective climate action plans. So there was 4 climate action plans for me to read, which was interesting. And the reason I wanted to look at these is the message coming from Europe was very much the green and digital transition. I'm sure you're familiar with the EU mission, that the climate neutral and smart cities. So smart cities and digital was part of the headline message coming from the EU. What you see here is a quotation from one of the climate action plans. It's from the previous version, but the problem statement still stands. And it was similar language was used in each of the climate action plans. So they talk about a critical challenge in the implementation and monitoring of this plan is data. So in Ireland, we have a lot of data at the national level, for example, or regional level, but hyper-local data available at a neighbourhood level, or let's say at the level of the council, at the level of one of the councils within the Dublin region, is problematic. So hence the real challenge around localized data. So this was music to my ears, that there's a real opportunity here for our program in Smart Dublin to address this problem statement. Keep going, Chiara. So, but how do you tackle a very large topic like data? Well, one approach is you break it into bite sizes, or theme by theme. So each of our climate action plans, each of the 4 plans, broadly followed the same structure. So they had a topic or a section on energy and buildings, a section on transport, flood resilience, etc. And underneath each of these themes was many different actions. And so in total, for one climate action plan, you're talking about maybe 100 actions within each of the plans. And the question we were starting to ask ourselves at Smart Dublin, and asking this question to the people, the climate action officers who wrote the plans, to look at the questions on the left-hand side. What insight and data is needed for each of your actions? What new insight and data could be gleaned from the public realm? So the smart city space is very much outside the boundary of the council. So what new technologies exist, or what new data could be gleaned or extracted from the outside world, from the city itself? and then what insight data is needed at the hyper-local level. So what each of the councils in Ireland have done is they've identified a very specific neighbourhood to be a decarbonising zone. So this is kind of like the smart district test bed concept that we already have. And actually some of the neighbourhoods are exactly the same geography. And then on the right-hand side, so that's a kind of a bottom-up approach on the left-hand side, topic by topic, theme by theme, what data is needed. And then on the right-hand side, at the overall plan level, you know, how can we measure progress on the plans in a dynamic way? So move away from Excel, basically. That's the current way that people are trying to monitor progress, which is very problematic. Keep going, Chiara. So the first topic we decided to look at was the topic of active travel. And the reason we chose active travel, well, I suppose there's a few reasons. One, it's a very tangible topic, and also looking at the actions across the 4 climate action plans, there was a lot of actions associated with active travel, so getting people walking and cycling. So we thought, okay, well, if we have a data conversation with these stakeholders, we're going to address a lot of actions across the 4 climate action plans. So we held a workshop on February 27th. There was about 30 people in the room, so representatives from the 4 councils, plus our Department of Transport, plus academia. We had some researchers looking at the active travel space, and they brought their insights and the research they've done about international best practice into the room. And just to highlight, you'll see there a line that says the current KPI is the increase the kilometers of protected cycle lanes and off-road cycle lanes and greenways. So the reason I highlight that is that that is the only KPI at the moment that the active travel teams have to report on. So, and as we know, there's so many more benefits to active travel that we need to think about or we need to communicate. So we asked the question, a very open question, via a Mentimeter approach to the people in the room. What are your desired outcomes for an active travel initiative, you know, be it walking or cycling? And you'll see there from the word cloud, you'll get a sense of the feedback from the room, you know, big words like health, livability, well-being, sustainability, modal shift, safety, etc. So nothing really about number of kilometers of new cycling infrastructure, for example. So that was, you know, and we did that as the very first step of the workshop. So straight away, everybody was expressing a desire to communicate the impact of active travel in a much more meaningful way. Keep going, Chiara. So to summarize the workshop findings from that day, it was clear to us there was a common objective across all the stakeholders in the room, and the people who pay me are the 4 Dublin councils. So mainly from their perspective, it was a clear statement. It was a common objective to measure a more holistic impact of active travel. So public health, safety, let's try and measure the impact in terms of CO2 emissions reduction. To point number 2, during the conversation in the workshop, we talked about existing data sources, and we have issues with existing data sources. So let's do something about it together. Point number 3, people talked about new opportunities, you know, new technologies. But however, what was happening is one council might be trialing a solution and they weren't sharing their experience with another council. So we got to get the left hand talking to the right hand. And then to point number 4, we realized that sometimes we don't really have to have the hyperlocal data for everything. There are some proxy methodologies, again, from our academic partners highlighted some other research that we can leverage to basically come up with a local calculation for Dublin based on those well-recognized methodologies. So the big statement at the end, at the bottom of the slide here, is without ongoing collaboration, there's a high risk of duplication of effort and an inconsistent approach to measurement across the Dublin region. And our role at Smart Dublin, by working with the 4 councils, we can facilitate the whole active travel and data conversation with these stakeholders. So we're going to do 3 things. And if you keep going, Chiara. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate the impact in a more engaging way. This is just a mock-up of a potential visualization of what we're going to build. We had a good look around, certainly Ireland and other cities, and we didn't really see a lot of work that's been done around active travel dashboards. If there's anybody on this call or from any city that you've done something like this, please let me know, because we're just starting to try and develop this. What I would highlight here is the text on the right-hand side as to how we want to construct the analytics here. We really want to do geospatial analytics by a number of levels: junction, route, electoral division is kind of our political boundaries within Dublin, at the local authority level, and then obviously at the aggregated Dublin region level. So basically, for whatever target audience, we're addressing the pain point, that hyper-local pain point, plus an aggregated view as to the volume of active travel within a particular geography and the impact. So the impact we've been zooming in on, and I know it's a little bit hard to read here, are things like health benefits, economic benefits, and then CO2. So we believe we can quite quickly communicate the message on reduction in congestion, improvement in public health, and reduction in CO2 levels by getting the relevant underlying data around active travel metrics. And like I said, doing it on a geospatial basis. Okay, keep going, Chiara. So that's the first thing we're going to do. And the second tranche of activity is your visualization or your analytics is only as good as really good data. And I really liked the analogy from Alessandra and Alina about the orchestra and what instruments do you need to make up the orchestra? And I suppose it begs the question, well, what type of music are you trying to play here? So it kind of comes back to, well, what impact are you trying to articulate? So during our workshop, we identified so many potential data sources, and we have to do a mapping exercise as to which data sources are relevant to communicate which impact. So it's kind of a traceability matrix that we create. But just to give you a feel for some of the data sources on our radar, it goes from the left-hand side photograph, top left, it goes from very basic cycle counters. Top middle is a company called Lane Patrol in Barcelona. I'd recommend the cities on the call maybe to look at this solution that we want to pilot. So the solution the Lane Patrol guys bring is that they can estimate quite quickly the safety risk of a particular cycle route. Top right hand side is the C-Sense bike lights, an Irish company. So this is Internet of Things and crowdsourcing data around cyclists. So we're going to deploy some 200 of these bike lights to volunteers to share their data. Bottom left is Strava Metro, and again, I'd encourage any cities on this call to look at this, to look at the Strava data. We're seeing some really interesting correlation between the Strava data and the cycle counters that we have around the Dublin region. So Strava despite what people might say about Strava users, could be a really interesting data source to give us that view as to active travel around the Dublin region. The slide in the middle at the bottom is coming from Google. So we're having conversations with them around modal split analytics at the hyperlocal level as well. At the moment, we get some data from Google at the council level, but they are working with us to see if they can give us something more hyperlocal by electoral division, for example. And then finally, a mobility data specification, which is a data standard out of the United States. We want to get this kind of data from the bike sharing schemes that we license in the Dublin region. So this is just an example of some data sets that we have. And then finally, the third thing we want to do is structured collaboration. So we had the workshop in February. It's the start of a conversation. And I use the word structured very carefully here. The word collaboration can be quite loose, and it gives a sense of voluntary and optional. We really want to make this a monthly forum where people have roles and responsibilities to provide feedback as to how they're getting on with different data sources. You'll see some of the attendees that we have. I've mentioned some of them already. And a final shout out to, you'll see that the second last bullet point is EIT Urban Mobility. We have a partnership with them, and they're bringing some really interesting new innovation in across all mobility topics to us, but in particular active travel. So that's something we're going to do going forward. So 3 things we're going to do to try and deliver better data for the climate action plans. And I think that's it, Chiara. I think that's it from me. If anybody wants to contact me about any of this, my email is on the...
You had a question in the chat, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, my email is on the slides, which I'm happy to share them. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I will quickly leave the floor to Gloria Tarantina from 5T Agency in Turin, but I will also anticipate you that straight after the end of Gloria's presentation, the stage goes to Graham Coakley from Urban DNA, which is working in the partnership of CLIMABOROUGH, and Graham took this complex task of putting together some of the things we heard today and setting up our main bullet points and things that are relevant to us. So I will leave the floor to Gloria, and then after her, we will have Graham taking the stage. Gloria, the floor is yours.
Sorry, I was on mute. Do you see my screen? Do you hear me? I don't hear you now.
We see you, but we don't see the presentation. We see the backstage.
Yeah, that's the.
Today is not the day for presentation.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah, I think that mostly the problem, I think that most people, instead of sharing the screen, share the presentation, and often when that function often doesn't work very well. You should share the full screen, and then.
Yeah, I'll try with the PowerPoint.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. Thank you.
But from the beginning. Okay. Do you see everything?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
We just see. Okay.
Okay, it is okay like this.
If you can put it full screen, it would be better.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It always like this. At the beginning, everything works, and then.
Do you want us to do it for you?
I'll try to. Let me just try again and then. Okay. Does it work now?
Yes.
Okay,
Perfect.
perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me here. Now I think I'm ready. And today I'm here to bring to the table also some positive local experiences. In Turin, we had and coordinated as 5T in the mass paradigm, in the mass concept. I work for 5T, which is a public in-house company that it's owned by the city, the Piedmont region, and the metropolitan city. And we support our shareholders in the governance of smart and sustainable mobility. And after a few years of experience, at least 30, we have planned and designed smart mobility systems and services. And also during the past 5-6 years, coordinated the strategic programs that enable the mass ecosystem in the region and also the city. I just want to start from exploring a broader context first, and understand why sustainable mobility choices today could make a difference. So looking at these data pills, we can see how cities are rapidly growing and overcrowding, causing continuous transformations in our landscape, in our mobility landscape. Also, greenhouse gas emissions can be considered as direct consequences of urban areas growth, mainly caused by traffic, congestion, road traffic, and heating and electricity systems from buildings. And these matters underscore the importance of innovative approaches to urban planning and transportation management in our city, and also the need of shifting towards greener alternatives rather than private ownership and private everyday use. Also, another really important consideration is about the public space occupation and its consumption, where just let's think about that for decades, there has been an unbalanced distribution of space dominated by a car-centric road design and also by a car-centric culture, where owning a car is considered as freedom. So if we look at the range of vehicles and means of transport available today, we can understand how much space in square meters is required per occupant. And what we have to understand is that an efficient use of road space instead is a key issue. Redefining street hierarchy among all the street users we have today available in order to provide more space for their life, for their everyday life, can generate not only environmental benefits, but also social and health, as already someone mentioned. So within this context, in most cities, mobility goals, together with, of course, other sustainable policies, should be set to reduce these negative externalities we have talked about. And on the other hand, promoting active travel, promoting more the use of public transport and multimodality for everyday journeys could make a change. So let's go now, let's understand how it's possible to convince as many people as possible to change their habits towards something more sustainable, something more convenient. Mass could be a tool, and mobility as a service is a new concept that push even the most skeptical to a more integrated, a combination of different modes of transport, all accessible in just one super app, where everything is already packed there, where everyone can finally and easily have a personal mobility assistant, so a trip planner that plans your journey, let you choose from a menu of mobility options on demand, the best customizable, the best one that meet your needs, and everything is just in a single account, where you can basically book, pay, and use your mobility options. So basically the new Netflix of mobility. So to better understand how it works, we will briefly go through the different level of integration defined by the literature. We have from the first, so just that platform where you have info mobility of all the sharing services available on your territory. From the last one, the fourth, where you basically have everything integrated from one account, one payment, one booking. But what the difference is the based on social and sustainable policies, the public authority could provide to users economic incentives that can push them and favor greener mobility choices. But to see the recipe to make this ecosystem, this new concept work, it's not just about economic incentives. We should accelerate and create a well-functioning ecosystem. We should consider a sort of two-level dialogue made by cooperation and engagement. If we look at the cooperation, we are talking about public to public, for instance. So public bodies that work together, design strategies and policies, and try to address specific goals in the mass paradigm. Public to private, so the first one set the rules, ensure a sort of fair market and open market, orchestrate the governance and the relationship among the actors that are working in this environment. And the private instead follow the rules, provide valuable services to citizens. Also the private to private, so instead of a competitive environment, try to build win-win solutions for all the parts involved and discourage monopoly and concentration. That's in one end, bringing on the other end benefits to end users and the mobility service providers, so all the sharing mobility services available. The engagement, second level, it's more from the public to users and the private to users, to citizens. Talking about the public, sorry, the city promote the initiative, design the initiative, put people at the center, try to provide mobility budget, at least at the beginning, to incentivize the behavioral change. And on the other end, the private has a very key role, because they, according to the city rules, but provide available services to users, allowing them to choose multimodality, the more convenient option, rather than private vehicle dependency. Going more practical, I'll just provide you some examples of what I've just explained. For instance, this was the first public-to-public cooperation experience we had in 2021. So the main public bodies in our region signed a memorandum of understanding, which was the possibility to make real, to concretize our common vision towards the future of mobility and the development of mass ecosystem in our landscape, in our environment. Another one very important was actually the first initiative in Italy for a constructive dialogue between public and private about the governance of mass. And this project, well, actually the guidelines came out from Bid for Mass project, was a 4-level mass pilot financed by the region and coordinated by us, by 5T, that aimed to create a framework of rules to support the development of mass in Piedmont. And this strategic document outlined the principle and operational condition of all the members of the community, but also identify who are the strategic actors that should be part of this community. So we have the users, the mobility service providers, the mobility services, shared mobility service, for instance, the super apps that we are trying to spread this word because it's really easy and accessible for everyone, and the public administration as mass enabler that orchestrate and take care of the governance. Just here you can scan the QR code for this document in English, of course, It was a first draft because in last June in 2023, the region opened a public consultation inviting for 3 months many actors in the mobility field to make proposal and improving the rules and the principles defined in this project, in this document. So now we are working to put everything together, all these contributions, and within the end of this year, a new document 2.0 version will be published. So we will update you about it. Another experience, in this case, is a small case project for citizen engagement we had in Turin, just in the city. I won't go through all the details of the project, but just to let you understand how mobility bundles, mobility packages with combinations of diverse mobility service could make the difference. From the data collected throughout the project, we have noticed that bundle with different combination and various modes of transport was considered more appealing than individual modes. So that could be, of course, everything has been funded. So all the users had the trip completely financed by the city, but these ones, these were the favorite combinations according to the data we collected throughout the project. And another thing I want to underline is the environmental analysis we have done. So through the data we have calculated the CO2 emitted throughout the project and with all the mobility options available, and also we compared how it would have been just using the car instead of all the mobility options available, and we basically saved 30 tons of CO2, which is quite a challenging result. And also on the we collect all the users' rating about the app, and that is a very important tool for decision making, also to update new experiences and new solutions for the future, learning from the mistakes, let's say. And now I'd like to introduce the very important experience we are basically working on right now. It's a pioneer program coordinated at the national level called Mass for Italy. It aims to accelerate mass all over the country, so not just locally, but in a coordinated way at the national level with the 13 pilots in cities, regions, and also living labs about TCAM technologies, where basically cities and regions are the promoters, engage private players in the market, fund the digitalization of public transport operators all over the country, and create, above all, a national data layer for data collection, where it's possible to share and understand how mobility habits would change and how the cultural transition would go. And what we are doing in Turin is the pilot is called Mass to Move. The conditions in the designed by the city and 5T together are the promotion of an open program that tries to engage citizens of any profile, aiming to reach a very high number, even more than 5,000 users, possibly. We have all the sharing mobility service available in Turin, fully integrated in the super app. There's also the promotion of an open market. So we have selected 6 mass operators, so the super apps, to provide services to the consumers. And of course, we are providing public incentive for users, trying to incentivize their behavioral change. And compared to previous experimentation, we have a long time horizon this time, aiming to establish a permanent service rather than just experimentation one after others. So trying also to build trust and customer loyalty for the future, define new sustainable policies that can favor greener mobility choices. And we are trying right now to targeting our best users So trying to reach the Gen Z and millennials as the spokesperson of the future of mobility. And so we created new digital channels. We are paying sponsorship to reach new followers and spread the initiative as much as we can. We have launched a public event in March where all the mobility private and public actors involved in this national program took part in the event, and also organizing a thematic workshop to gather different contribution and deepen some hot topics related to the development of a mass ecosystem, and also to make the idea of mass as a sort of less technical concept. We are trying to use as much as we can the word super app instead of mass operator. So to make the concept more accessible for everyone. So we are dedicating, we created a section of our InfoMobility platform and InfoMobility website that try to clarify any details of this project to all the users that are going to participate. And according to our communication plan, we are sending out flyers about the initiative, implementing bus wrapping, the public transport, sending out ads and poster in metro and all over the city. Another strategy is to recruiting networking partner that would have the duty to divulgate and this initiative with their community as well, and so gather as much users as possible for the new initiative. So, for instance, disseminating newsletters, media kit promo, and also we're coming up with the public transport company, which is considered as the backbone of the mass paradigm. Mass wouldn't exist without public transport fully integrated in the application. And we're participating to public events, for instance, promote the project. For instance, we have a panel in the International Books Exhibition in May. We have recently established also a sort of in-person customer service support for users at the new info point at the city of Turin, just inaugurated a few weeks ago. And just to sum up, these are basically everything that has already been said, but this could be how through public-private cooperation, valuable service available, incentives by mobility budget for mass customers, and also based on sustainable mobility policies designed by the public administration and data sharing among the actors, through which we can monitor mobility trends, transition, and impacting on citizen choices and all the externalities connected. Thank you for your attention. And so if you will have further questions to go more in depth in the topics I just explained, these are my contacts and infos. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me do one thing, which is promise that I'll finish in 3 minutes or less, because I see we are tight on time. I'll do so in 3 ways. Firstly, by way of thanks. Secondly, by way of some administration. And thirdly, by offering half a dozen key insights. So firstly, the first thanks actually goes to everybody on the call. I noticed the number of people on the call, even though we've dropped over time, has remained the same. So clearly you are engaged. So the first thanks goes to everybody that's participating, and the promise of 3 minutes. The second thanks goes to the speakers who have produced for us a really, really fascinating panel play of stories. So that's the thanks. The second point in terms of administration, Jean has been diligently capturing a lot of very detailed information on the presentations. So thank you, Jean. Secondly, the slides that are presented will be shared with everybody and made available. And thirdly, we've had an active chat. But most importantly, the intention of CLIMABOROUGH is to capture, and you'll see on our site, the CLIMABOROUGH Insights. So as part of this workshop series, we'll be capturing the key insights that come from each of the webinars. Because it's very easy. I take my kids to the fireworks display once a year, and you see these wonderful fireworks go off, and each one of them looks great. Each of the stories we've heard today is a wonderful firework. But after the bang, they fall to the ground. What CLIMABOROUGH seeks to do is actually pick them back up and blueprint them, create some means by which it sustains. So the online activity is part of that, but the project actually has some active steps to capture not just the what, but also the how. In 1 minute, half a dozen key insights, which probably forms the basis of some form of article. And I've got lots of notes jotted down, but let me just rattle through them. The first is context is king. Every city is unique, but we must focus on similarities, yet at the moment we focus too much on differences. So what can we do to actually understand the context and really seek to replicate and adapt the solutions in different cities? The second is, I believe we need a new governance model that includes the political implications, the performance indications, and multiple other things. The third is that I believe that transformation comes from building two things together: societal insight, engagement, and participation. I use those four words actively, and digitalization. We do both fairly well. We can transform by doing both together. The fourth point is we're going through a volte-face in terms of money. We have been reliant on public sector funds for 3/4 of the modest funding in public sector in cities. We now move to a position which is estimated to be 85% of the funds coming from the private sector, and a huge increase in those funds. So that's a completely different model for us to understand how to work with. The fifth point is about innovation. You only get what you manage, and innovation matters. So we must manage innovation well. And the last point is that point about blueprinting. We must be able to actually capture the what, the solution, and the how. And today's discussion has actually been on not the technology, as Matteo said at the beginning, actually the other aspects of enabling. So thank you all hugely for joining in. We see only 2 or 3 dropping off. It's been super to see and hear the contributions from today. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and we will commit to get as much of that knowledge back to you as is possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Follow us on CLIMABOROUGH website, CLIMABOROUGH LinkedIn page. We also have a Facebook page, so please stay tuned. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.